All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is you're watching this. This is the Life series right here. Lesson one, Christ-centered work. I kind of made it small first, just so you can all kind of see what the layout looks like here to kind of get a general taste of it. It's a little bit different for you previous leaders and for you new people, kind of notice a couple things. So, of course, the logo here. Here's the name of the lesson. So we're in the series called Life. This is lesson one, talking about Christ-centered work. And then this gray box, which is just for you, okay, not to be read to your group, is a destination of the lesson. This is where we have to get, where we're going for today. And this is where you start with your lesson, okay? So this is where I'm coming in. This is the first thing I'm doing when I set everybody down and we get started. I'm reading this, or I'm summarizing this in my own words if you need to. I'm saying something like this, and then here's the three sections of your lesson, kind of discussion, application, and prayer. So yeah, when I get to that, so I'm going to zoom into that so we can kind of see some of these things a little bit better. Talk about, before I do that, I'm going to take you guys to CCB. So forgive me, I did not have this pulled up. Oopsie daisy. Let me find where I put it. Apologize. There we go. Okay. Let me get to my groups. Sorry, I'm a sinner in need of grace. So this is the homepage, right? City Life Group Leaders. So for some of you new guys, just so you know. So I have this pulled up right here for you because I did a little calendar work. So we're changing up groups from how we first talked about it. A little bit different. And so we talked about doing relationships first, but now we're actually going to talk about work. So the way this is outlined, so today over here is the 16th. I'm so sorry, guys, about the tardiness of this. Just have mercy on me. These past 3 weeks right here have been crazy for us at the church. All of our staff has just been going nuts trying to get this done. So I hope you'll have patience on me, especially you Sunday groups. So this week, starting tomorrow on Sunday, everybody will be doing lesson one, work and Christ-centeredness. Next week, everybody's going to be doing lesson two, which we talk about work and how to be spirit empowered. Okay. And then go to October, the next lesson three, everybody's talking about work and social responsible. So no matter what your work is, no matter what this sermon is talking about, all right, so groups are not necessarily following the sermon series exact. We've changed this since Harvey happened. There's just an easier way for us to get ahead of the lessons and honestly for you to get ahead so you guys can help out. I'm going to be kind of having some of our leaders do some different lessons and get them out for you guys. But again, you kind of know, right? So this is simple. We'll go back to work. Here's how it's going to start. This whole week, this week in your group, your whole conversation is, what does it look like to do your work Christ-centeredly? What are you struggling with? What does that even mean, Christ-centered at your work, right? What are the obstacles at your work for you? Those kind of things. What's the center for people at work? That's the question this week, okay? So next week is, okay, how do we do work spirit-empowered? What does that even mean? What does that possibly look like? What are your struggles with those kind of things? You pray for that, right? So you see we're going for lesson three with work, right? What does it look like to be socially responsible with my work? Is my work even socially responsible? Should I be doing this kind of work? It's just about making more people money and not really helping, or it's hurting, it's making evil things happen, or it's making people suffer, whatever it might be, right? And then you see now then after this, we're going to relationships this week. And look, the same question is Christ-centered, spirit and power, social responsible. So we talked to some of you guys about doing like singleness and then marriage and then parenting, which our sermons are going to follow that, but groups is not. Groups are going to talk about relationships, but this week, guess what you're going to ask? How do we have Christ-centered relationships? What's the difference between a Christ-centered relationship and a fill-in-the-blank-centered relationship? What does it look like? What does it not look like? What are your struggles, right? What does a spirit-empowered relationship look like? Whether you're single, married, have kids, divorced, whatever it means, okay? What does that mean? What does it mean to be socially responsible with a relationship? How does our relationships affect our society? And how do we be responsible with that? All those types of things, right? All the different things. So you see how we're kind of flowing with our vision of Christ-centered, spirit and power, socially responsible. And then this is the last week of lessons here, October 22nd this week. And they see are taking a break, and then our expo for the next 2 weeks. I don't think I have it in here, do I? Yep. And then we'll have our 2 weeks here of expo and breaking again. And then we'll pick up here with money, Christ-centered, spirit and power, socially responsible, then time, same thing. So just want to give you guys an idea and kind of the overall vision of where we're going with this. And so just stick with me. If you don't quite know perfectly what Christ-centered, spirit-empowered, and socially responsible means, these lessons and these videos are here to help kind of guide you. And not only that, excuse me, go back here. Not only that, but hopefully all of our leaders will be posting here in the messages. You'll see here our messages and what's going on. So right here, I'm going to create, after this video, I'm going to create a message here that's going to say Life, Lesson 1, Work, CC, Christ-centered. And then you can add a comment. Hey, here's what really worked for me. Here's what didn't work for me. All that kind of stuff. Also, if you're new, this lesson that I'm about to show you guys, you can go here on Files, click on Files, and you can see here previous sheep and shepherd guides. I'm not going to have a sheep and shepherd guide today for this week. Sorry. Right now, I just have the shepherd guide for you. So you'll see shepherd guide. You'll see it right here at the top one. It's a shepherd guide, Life, Lesson 1, WorkCC. That'll be right there, and you'll see that, okay? That's just for you new guys who don't know where to find all this stuff. These are the main 3 tabs you're working with here. Messages, how we're communicating via email. Again, you don't have to log into CCB to respond. You can just click reply in your email, and it'll send us all the message here via CCB. Then there's the calendar, so you can see what's going on, what week. And again, I really encourage you. So like after this, say if your group is on Tuesday, if I don't have the lesson out, which I hope to, please give me grace if I don't. But if I don't have it out yet, you know where I'm going next week. Okay, if your group's on the 26th, we're going to talk about spirit and power. So be thinking about, ask questions. You can even tell your group, hey, be thinking about this and bring some thoughts, bring some Bible verses, bring some questions, bring some ideas of what it's going to look like next week. Go ahead and do that because you know where I'm going. So and again, that's the goal. We'll talk about the destination. And then of course, files here is where you see all. And if you want to go back and look at previous, we have all the lessons back for a long, long time on here if you really care all about the different things we've been going for. You can go back and check those out, knock yourself out. So there you go. That's CCB, just for some of you guys who don't know. So this now, lesson 1, Christ-centered work. So our destination for this lesson, what this means, okay, is that if we trust you guys, so if you want to go a different route than we're about to show you, if you really, really have been studying and thinking about this, and man, God's really spoken to you, you've got a Bible verse or some questions or some thoughts or some of your group, say you get to like right here, this application question, and it's as far as you get, but you get this destination done, gravy. That's awesome. Okay, this is the destination. So this is where you got to go. Now, if you go to a different route, that's fine. But there's many ways to drive to Dallas. This is just where we want you to go. This is the destination. Okay, this is your goal. We want to have everyone, not one person. Be careful, those people. Everyone involved in discussing how to be Christ-centered in our work. Okay, so what does that mean? Talking about it, and then with them brainstorming ideas on how to practically move Christ into the center of everything that we do at work. Okay, so we're talking about it. What does it mean? What does it not mean? What are our struggles with it? Okay, then what's some ideas? How do we practically do this? And then we're praying. Okay, so if you want to go a different way, that's fine. But one thing I do want you to do, please, is start off all your lessons with the goal of City Life Groups. We want to remind people because there's so many great ways to do small group ministry. We know that. We're aware of that. We don't think City Life Groups and the way we're doing is the most perfect way in the entire world. It's just what we're doing right now. Okay, so we are aware of that. We're very aware. But here's what we're saying, okay? So here's what you can say to your group. Say this in your own words, or you can literally read this if you'd like. The next 6 weeks, we are centering, you like that there, centering? We're centering our group discussion around this question. This is what we're trying to talk about for the next 6 weeks. How, and honestly, the next term too, this whole semester, we're asking this question, but particularly in groups. How do we practically live out the gospel in our work and our relationships? So the next 6 weeks, we're just talking about work and relationships, okay? This whole semester, we're talking about all of life. That's why the sermon series is called Life, okay? But in particular, these 6 weeks, 3 weeks on work, 3 weeks on relationship, okay? The goal of City Life Groups is not to hoard knowledge, but it's developing community and then discovering gospel application, hence the destination. Okay, again, and please say this because I want to make sure I'm clear about this. Knowledge is not evil, absolutely not. It is just not the end goal of City Life Groups. Relationships, building those, and discovering the power to live like Jesus, that's the goal. That's the end goal we're trying to get to, is build relationships, build community, and discover application. How do we do this? Okay, we don't want to discover how to think about this. How do I do it? Okay, and then we'll hold each other accountable. That's the goal. So we're trying to live this thing out. We don't want to be hearers of the word and deceive ourselves. We want to actually do what the word says. Okay, so once that's really clear, okay, short and sweet, not too long on that, we have our 3 sessions here: discussion, application, and prayer. Okay, for me, my group's an hour and a half. I'm trying to get through this. I'm saving the last, in a perfect world, 15 to 30 minutes for this prayer time. So whenever you get started, look at your clock and say, okay, if you got an hour left, that means when you get started to the discussion point, that means you got about 30, 45 minutes to work through these questions. So you're not going to be able to go through all these questions that quick. So you're going to have to edit this a little bit and say, okay, here's the important ones, here's the not important ones, all that kind of stuff. And again, I didn't put this up for you to show it to your group. So if you show this to your group, print out for your group, I have a couple things in here just for you guys, okay? So here's what I would say for me. Okay, so these first 3 weeks of City Life Groups, we're going to break down our church's vision of what a follower of Jesus looks like, and then we're going to apply that specifically to our workplaces, to our occupations, to what we do for our jobs, okay? So quick question, guys. What is CLC's vision of what a follower of Jesus looks like? What does a follower of Jesus look like, okay? We abbreviate it CSS. Does anybody know? Yeah, hopefully you heard it in the sermon. That's right. Pastor Chris said we want to be Christ-centered, Spirit-empowered, and socially responsible. That's right, okay? So we're going to take those 3 areas, And we're going to flesh that out in the ways of our work, okay? Today, we're going to focus on, okay, what does it mean to be Christ-centered at our work? So tomorrow, next week, we'll do Spirit and Power. But today, just going to focus on Christ-centered. So let's check this out. So let's just go around and share. I want everybody to go around and share. We'll start with you, Bobby, and finish with you, Susie, okay? And we're just going to go around and share. What do you do for your work, okay? And feel free to ask questions about it, right? So if you're like, hey, well, what does that mean? Or what does it do? Oh, how long have you been doing that? That's cool. I know somebody does it. Oh, cool, awesome. Okay, invite talking. If it's kind of a sterile, I work at a bank. Next, I work in petroleum. Next, I'm a teacher. Oh, well, what grade do you teach? How long have you been doing it? Oh, do you like it? Awesome. Is it you're calling forever? Okay, engage. You're building community. Get to know one another, okay? So the next question, and this is kind of up there to the air. What do you guys see as the center or the motivating purpose, the desired goal for most people? We know not everybody, but for most people in your kind of work. Most people, it's just a job. Most people, they want to build a name for themselves. Most people, I don't know. Most people want to help other people. I don't know what the center is for everybody. But what do y'all think? If you've been to Quitter class, we're asking here is what's the idol? What's the main idol going on here at your work that you see? Again, not in everybody, but most people, okay? So, okay, now our question is, what does it mean? What does being Christ-centered, just in the general sense, mean? What does that mean? Can somebody give me a definition or example, or maybe even a Bible verse? What does that mean to be Christ-centered? Okay, well, Christ be at the center of everything. Yeah, but what does that practically mean? Well, it means that every single thing I do, every thought I think, every feeling I feel, every action that I take at work, Christ is the center in driving that. And anything that seeks to replace that center is not good. Okay, so being Christ-centered means that if Jesus says don't lie, then I don't lie. If Jesus says to, not treat people like crap, I don't treat people like crap, even though everybody else is doing it, right? What's the center for me? What's motivating me? What's my motivating purpose in every single thing I do? It's not to fit in, it's not to make money, but it's for Christ to be the center of it. Everything, not just work, but every area of life. That's what we mean by Christ-centered. He's Lord of your life, everything, okay? So we talked about that a little bit. You could move slow, but kind of not too linger too far in here. Again, it's good to know one another, but now we're going to get to application, okay? So here's a question. What would it look like for you to be Christ-centered in your work, specifically in your work? What would Christ-centered look like? Let's think about some ideas, okay? Here's some ideas. Okay, well, what are some obstacles or some challenges that consistently prevent you from being Christ-centered at your work? Okay, and this, again, is a note for you. So if you put this on the screen, you're kind of showing. Here's the big thing. Just move that. Sorry. Me-centeredness. Okay, me-centeredness is the big problem I have. Okay, that's the biggest one for most people. Okay, whatever I don't know. Well, the biggest problem is just there's this guy, and I just have a hard time, not laughing at his jokes. Or there's this, person who I really want to be like, and man, I'm just really struggling because I want comfort more than I want to honor Christ in my work. Or whatever it might be. There's so many infinite possibilities. Hey, okay, that's what Christ-centered could or would look like for you, right? What are the things between now and then to get you there? Well, I'm kind of new to Christianity. I don't really know these. I don't really understand Christ-centered. Whatever it might be, okay? That could be things, okay? So then how do we become Christ-centered? Here's what it would look like if we were that way. Here's our problem. Okay, now how do we actually do this? How does our love and our passion for Him get to and stay at the center of who we are and what we do, especially at work? How do we do that, okay? So maybe here you can kind of dream a little bit. Maybe a better way of saying this question, if I was perfectly Christ-centered at my work, what would that look like? Dream a little bit, perfectly, like just perfect. If Jesus worked at your workplace, how would He do it? Okay, just kind of dream. Now, what struggles you from being like that? Okay, well, what are some steps we're going to take now to do that? And that's these two questions, okay? So maybe you could combine these two questions here. That's probably what now I'm reading this, I'm talking to y'all, I'm thinking I would combine these two questions. What are one or two practical steps you could do to be more Christ-centered at your work? Honestly, I might even just change, I don't know. I might mention that and then just kind of another way of saying that. So I'll probably read this, say, okay, well, another way of saying it, let's think about one or two practical steps at your work. Why don't you always take a minute, let people think about it, maybe make them write something down. Think of one, two things. I'm going to give you all just, 5 minutes, 1 minute, write something down on your phone real quick, and then I want you all to go around and share, okay? Now, again, the more questions that you ask people to share, the more they'll share. If you just kind of throw it out there in general, hey, what do y'all think about this? You might have crickets for a while, then you might be okay with that. Some people might be not okay. This is your first lesson. I would try to get most people involved talking, hey, and especially if I have Terrence and Duncan in my group. Hey, Terrence, would you mind sharing first? And then we'll kind of go around and kind of get the ball rolling. Somebody I can call on that I know is kind of quick on their feet, and then I know I'm not going to embarrass them. Let them do that, okay? We've talked through that. Then here's what I would do. If you want to pray differently, knock yourself out. Here's what I'm going to do at my group. I'm going to have everybody grab a partner, same gender, okay? And especially, man, it would be really cool is if they have the same job, right? I have them get together, okay, same occupation, and say, hey, grab a partner. I want you to pray for yourself. I want you to pray for each other. I want you to confess and encourage. God, here's where I'm struggling. Here's these obstacles and challenges, okay? And then, man, let me encourage you, man. And this is where kind of our spirit empowered part comes in. Man, I really feel like the Lord's saying this. I got a picture in my head for this. Or, man, the Lord's really revealing this to me. Is this true about you? Yeah, how'd you know that, man? I don't know. Let's just take it to the Lord and pray about it. Okay, God, man, I'm struggling with this because whatever. Confess sin, confess the struggle, and let's really encourage one another this time. So don't just pray, hey, God, help Danielle be a better, whatever, a doctor, help Danielle be a better doctor and do a better school thing, or I think she's in residence here soon or something like that. Help Danielle do that well. In Jesus' name, amen. Like, that's cool. That's yay, pray. But no, let's God, I call heaven and earth to come down. I pray that Danielle's baptized in the Spirit right now as I speak. Give her the boldness. And get out. Man, Danielle, I just really feel like the Lord saying, I'm proud of you, that you're going to change lives and you're going to be healing people with your touch. And I mean, really get after it. Try to keep this away from being too cookie cutter. And again, I guess your first lesson, again, I was going to be there, but you might have to kind of coach your people, especially if you don't know them. You might have to kind of coach them on how to do that. Maybe model one person, right? Maybe grab another leader and you can do that, okay? And let's put some things here. Pray that God will show you specific ways you're not being Christ-centered, confess, and then ask him to help you change that ASAP, okay? So that's it. You're done, okay? Now, what I would do, after I'm done with all this stuff, when we end and say, hey guys, when you're done praying, you're free to go. Peace out. See you guys next week. Okay. I would say, hey, you know what? The person you prayed with, man, keep talking to them this week. Text them this week. Call them this week. Go eat lunch together this week. Spend some time and check out with each other more than just, my group meets on Sunday, more than just on Sunday. Let's check out with each other throughout the week and see how we're doing. So this is your prayer partner. Exchange information if you don't have it. Get their phone number and just text each other throughout the week. Say, hey man, how are you doing? How we prayed for this? You get that big, deadline come this Thursday. How'd you do, man? Do you have your stress level? Man, I was praying for you, the crisis center, whatever it might be. Really encourage that. So maybe it's the first lesson. So you're going to have to explain more than you should. Okay. But again, people don't know what you know. And so be careful that you don't just assume too much. So again, this is the longest video I'm going to do, just so you guys get this. I'm not going to be doing it this long, but I wanted just to give an explanation for those who've never done this before and the kind of the new look of the lesson here. So spend time doing this. Remember, guys, our goal is building relationships. So don't just do relationships the best you possibly can, because you only got 6 weeks with these people, okay? And discover the power of the application part. Man, let's not just talk about it. Let's really do it. Let's hold one another accountable. Let's encourage one another throughout the week to really do this well, because we want to live like Jesus. We want to bring the gospel into every ounce of our lives. So help one another do that. Be group leaders to do that. Again, have other people you can talk to. So if you can show some people the idea of what you're going to do and have them spread out throughout it, go for it. If you know people in your group, talk to them before, encourage one another to do that. I hope this makes sense. Please, for the love of God, please go back here. Please, for the love of God, post here. I'm going to go ahead and create it now. Okay, well, not now, but in a minute. Okay, go ahead and I'll put it on here and have our lesson thing for this lesson 1. Please post your thoughts, post your ideas, post what worked for your group, what didn't. If you're a Thursday group, I would be asking questions like crazy. Hey, DeJuan, your group was on Sunday. How did that go? Hey, Danny, your group was on Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever it is. How did that go? Man, help me out. Man, I'm looking at this question. How'd that work? And if your group's like on Sunday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, hey, this worked really well. Okay, even if you're a Thursday group, right? Please put what worked and what didn't work so that I can know how to do this better in the future. So super, super helpful. Super, super excited about this semester, guys. It's going to be really cool and challenging. Spend some time shepherding and loving and pastoring these people really well. I trust you guys. I believe that you all are Christ-centered, spirit-empowered, socially responsible, and you're trying your best and to love God and make disciples. So let's do this together well. So grateful that you guys decided to not just be served, but you decided to serve and pour out your life as a ransom for many. And that's just like Jesus. So you are being crazy Christocentric, and you're going to small groups. I'm so proud of you and so grateful that God's brought you all to our church to lead, especially at such a time as this. So get after it, get to work, and let's do it. Let me know if you have any questions or any thoughts. Talk to you guys later. Peace.